Hello there. Good morning. We know that families are where faith formation happens. So we're really glad that you are here this morning as families talking to one another. We have a message here today from some of our friends, so we are going to pass it on over to them.
Good morning, Sunday school friends. We want to say happy birthday to Grace and Willow on September 26th.
We hope you enjoyed our welcome back surprise. Stop by the church anytime the week of September 27th to chalk the walk with pictures and messages about God's creations. If you know of anyone new to Sunday school this year, let the church office know.
Have a great week. We miss you.
Thank you, Ellie and Brooks, for that welcome message, and thank you to the Flamingo for making the appearance as well. I want you to take a minute, and I want you to look at your hands, all right? Just hold them out, look at them. And then go ahead and just start feeling like your knuckles. Start feeling those knuckles. Do you feel how all those bones join together? Then go ahead and just touch your wrist. And feel, what do you feel? The little bumps in there, the little bones. If you feel the underside, you feel all those little veins and bones in there. Now how about your elbow? Feel your elbow. Can you feel how that's moving around in there? And then go ahead, put your hand over your heart. Can you feel your heart beating? Can you feel it like pushing blood all the way throughout your body? If you have other family members around right now, I want you to look at them. Just look at them right in the face. Aren't noses a funny thing? I mean, look at them, really, a nose. It really looks funny, doesn't it? Doesn't it look like this big thing that's just like pointing out of the middle of a face? And what about ears? Are ears kind of strange? They're just like on the side of your head and just flipping out like that? Humans are amazing creatures, aren't they? Aren't we? At one point, the Bible said, God stitched us together. So I think about that sometimes when I look at my knuckles or my elbow or my wrist, or I think about my heart. I think about being stitched together, being put together, and that God did that for us, that we are God's creation. And then we can look outside like we looked yesterday, and that all of this is God's creation. All month long, we're going to talk about how God creates. All right? It's a wonderful thing, how God creates, stitches us together. And because God creates, we care for creation. So we're going to say this again this week. I'm going to say God creates, and you're going to say, so we care for creation. So I'll say it first. God creates, so we care for creation. Let's say it again. God creates, so we care for creation. To start us off again today, we're going to sing a song that we started singing last week. So here we go. God made the rivers. God made the rivers. And God made the trees. And God made the bees. Bzzz. So clean up a river and plant a tree. And please, please, please save the bees. Bzzz. God made you and God made me into one big family. So love every boy, love every girl, love every creature in this whole wide world. From your grandma to the squirrel, the world is just a whirl of God's energy. All right, so hopefully you got to do some singing there, and we're learning that song about the rivers and the trees and the bees and how God creates, so we care for creation. Hopefully last week you were able to, as a family, do some praying together. You were able to pray about whatever you chose to pray about. So maybe you prayed about firefighters who were trying to put out fires. Maybe you prayed for farmers who are trying to raise crops and harvest them. Maybe you prayed about animals that were endangered, or bees that were endangered, or our climate that seems to be changing. All right? So hopefully you prayed about that, and then you also did some of God's work with your hands and went out and maybe you picked up some trash. Maybe you tried to turn off the lights in your house. Maybe you worked in the garden. Maybe you went as a family together out for walks to enjoy God's creation. But we know that all of our families doing that throughout the week helped to do God's work. So thank you for doing that. And think through, how can you continue to care for God's creation, and how can you continue to pray for it as well? We are going to hear a little bit more of a story today that we started last week about God's creation and how God creates. So go ahead and listen to this.
Stories of the Bible. Creation. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, to be like us." So God created man in his own image. He formed man from the dust of the ground. He breathed the breath of life into man, and a man became alive. Then he saw that the man needed a helper, so God put man into a deep sleep, and while he slept, God took one of the man's ribs. Then God made a woman from the rib and brought her to the man.
Hi!
Then God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and rule over it. Rule over the fish in the sea,
Hello,
the birds in the sky,
hello, bird.
and all the animals that scurry along the ground." Then God said, "Look, I have given you every plant throughout the earth, and all the fruit trees for your food, and I have given you every green plant as food for all the animals." Then God looked over all he had made, and he saw that it was very good. So the creation of the heavens and the earth and everything in them was done. So on the seventh day, God rested from all his work, and God blessed the seventh day and said it was holy.
All right. To tell us a little more about that story and to help us think through it in a different way, we have a message for you coming up.
Hi, Sunday School families. Thanks for taking time to watch the video. Now we have a special guest from our congregation, Myrna, who's going to tell us a little bit more about the story that we just watched and kind of give you some ideas of things that you can talk about at home. And oftentimes when we're in church, this is considered the children's message. But we felt like with the Bible story today and with her lesson, that's really a good reminder for all ages.
Hi, kids. I'm so happy to be able to be here with you and to talk to you for a minute today. It would be a lot nicer if we could be in church, but things just aren't going to happen right now. In our lesson today, we talked about God creating male and female and all the different animals and everything. And I was just thinking about, I am such a chocolate nut. And you see what I got here in my bowl? These are my M&Ms, and I love M&Ms. I wish I could share them with you. I just love them. Anyway, I was just thinking it'd be pretty boring if there weren't any red ones, there weren't any orange ones, or there weren't any blue ones, or green ones, or even brown ones, right? So that's why the Lord has created all different colors and shapes and sizes of people, just like he did in the creation. And wouldn't it be boring if we were all blue? We'd look like Smurfs, wouldn't we? Yeah, that wouldn't be good. It's better if we've got some red and some orange and some yellow, right? That's the way God created us. So let's remember this. when you're meeting new friends and going back to school now, and you may have some new kids in school that maybe don't look just like you. But that don't matter. We're all God's creatures. And you remember that next time you have some M&Ms, okay?
Thank you so much, Myrna, for sharing that message with us today. So, as we go throughout the day here, and maybe in the next few minutes together as a family, think through what Myrna was talking about there, all right? And then think through, how do you want to continue to pray together as a family this week? Is there a certain time that you want to pray together? Are there certain things that you want to pray about, especially when it comes to God's creation and caring for God's creation, caring for each other? And are there certain things that you want to try to do again this week to help care for God's creation? Thank you so much for joining with us this morning. Happy talking as a family, and have a great week doing God's work. Blessings upon you.